วัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ Welcome to Good Morning with Thai PBS War with Us. I'm Hatay Teshagitiranan.
And I'm Nabunag, and we'll begin the program with what has been a talk of the town during the past few days. And we have to say that this is a very unfortunate incident of police brutality and the killing of a suspect. And so far, the arrest warrant of the seven officers in question have already been issued. So far, 5 have been arrested, and the manhunt for the 2 others are underway. The already tainted reputation of the Thai police has been dealt another devastating blow by the release of a viral video clip purportedly showing a group of plainclothes officers torturing a suspect to death. 7 police officers in Nakhon Sawan province's Mueang district who are believed to have been involved in the alleged murder of the suspect have been dismissed from the police service pending the outcome of an investigation. They have initially been charged with abuse of authority, coercion, and murder through torture or brutal acts. Warrants for the arrest have also been issued by the Nakhon Sawan Provincial Court. 5 have been captured and 2 are on the run, including Police Colonel Titisan Uttanapon, also known as Do Ferrari for his supercar collection, who was the superintendent of the Mueang District Police in Nakhon Sawan Province. Titisan reportedly went underground 3 days ago. And the torture was reportedly to extort 2 million baht from the 24-year-old suspect, and the video was leaked by a junior police officer whistleblower. The Immigration Police Bureau Chief Police Lieutenant General Sompong Chingduong said that immigration officers at all border checkpoints have been ordered to look for Titisan and 1 other officer. Police also searched Titisan's house in Bangkok yesterday in Ramintra area of Bangkok and found up to 29 supercars estimated to be worth over 100 million baht.
And in the video clip, a plainclothes policeman is seen covering the head of a drug suspect with a plastic bag from behind, tightening and beating him as others try to handcuff him. And then a black hood was also put on his head over the plastic bag, and the victim eventually died. And this incident reportedly took place on August the 5th. So undoubtedly, the incident has caused public outrage over the alleged police brutality. It also prompted Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha to order the National Police Chief to oversee the case personally and to ensure justice for the victim. Police will also question Sawan Prasha Hospital, which issued the death certificate indicating that the cause of death of the victim was suggestive of amphetamine intoxication. But the hospital also issued a statement yesterday, explaining that the cause of death was just the initial opinion of the doctor. An autopsy is underway to determine the exact cause. So we have to admit, Kunal, also that in this day and age, of course, with social media, not that much can be concealed. And of course, strong public backlash may have also helped in the case. But of course, it's still a long way to go, and we'll still have to wait and see if the justice will be served.
And at the same time, many of the netizens were digging past revelations made by a famous female celebrity about the suspect's behavior, who was known back then to be her boyfriend. However, she also said that she wasn't happy at all when people kept mentioning about her when the news broke out and kept talking about the previous connections with the main suspect.
Exactly. So obviously not some very good news, and we still have to wait and see.
Definitely.
And now on to some good news about the current lockdown measures. We may be able to eat out again soon, as the Public Ministry will seek approval from the CCSA tomorrow to allow eateries to reopen for dine-in with limited capacity. Public Health Minister Anutin Chanwarakul has instructed the Disease Control and Health Departments to work out good practice guidelines for restaurants after a petition from representatives of 8 business associations, including the Restaurants Association, was submitted, asking that restaurants be allowed to resume dine-in services now that the pandemic is showing signs of improvement. He said that the guidelines, including the limits of half the seating capacity, will be submitted to the CCSA by Mr. Anutin tomorrow. Meanwhile, representatives of restaurants and other eateries have pledged full cooperation in complying with the safety measures to be drawn up by the Public Health Ministry. The guidelines will focus on ensuring that the premises are well ventilated, not congested, and that social distancing can be maintained. And all the staff must be fully inoculated, or if they have received just 1 dose of vaccine, they must take an antigen test every week and comply with other safety measures. And customers will have to show proof also that they are vaccinated. For those who have been infected and have recovered, they will have to recover for at least a month, but not more than 3 months, but must show a negative antigen test result as well.
So we will have to wait and see whether the CCSA will allow eating inside restaurants.
Exactly. And definitely, of course, we all can't wait, I believe, to eat out again soon. As some people have said that certain dishes actually don't really taste the same when they're not eaten right away. And not to mention the ambience and the company you can add.
I couldn't agree more. I do miss eating inside restaurants. And still on the COVID-19 situation, we've been talking about the mix and match vaccine concept for the past couple of weeks. And recently, the Disease Control Department has revealed more details about how this concept will be used. So the director of the Emergency Health Hazard Division of Thailand's Disease Control Department, Dr. Chawit has announced new vaccination plans. So for the first group is the people aged 18 and over, including those aged 60 and over, those with any of the 7 underlying diseases, and women who are 12 weeks pregnant will be inoculated using Sinovac vaccine for the first dose and the AstraZeneca for the second dose, with 3 weeks in between the dose. But in some cases, 2 doses of AstraZeneca may be used and 12 weeks apart in between the doses. Another group is children aged between 12 and 18 with any of the 7 underlying diseases, as well as women who are 12 weeks into their pregnancy will be inoculated with 2 doses of Pfizer with 3 weeks between the doses. As for the frontline medical personnel, health officials, and those who have been fully vaccinated with either Sinovac or Sinopharm will get either AstraZeneca or Pfizer as a booster shot, as well as the medics who have received the first dose of Sinovac, Sinopharm, or AstraZeneca will receive Pfizer as their second dose. The time between the doses will depend on which vaccine they received as their first dose.
And other plans include Sinovac as a first dose and AstraZeneca as a second 3 weeks later, or 2 doses of the Pfizer 3 weeks apart, or 2 doses of AstraZeneca 12 weeks apart. Dr. Chawit also revealed that in neutralizing antibody test, those inoculated with 2 doses of Sinovac and 1 dose of AstraZeneca have the highest immunity levels against the Delta variant, followed by 2 doses of AstraZeneca. So those inoculated with 2 doses of Sinovac and 1 dose of Sinopharm have slightly lower immunity levels, the studies have shown, while only 2 doses of Sinovac have the least.
So we can see that the mix and match vaccine concept is widely accepted among Thai doctors, and it looks like this idea will be in use very soon.
Right, and especially considering how the vaccines we have now are mainly the Sinovac and AstraZeneca, so it will take a few more months for us to receive more mRNA vaccines as well.
Definitely.
And moving on now, let's now take a look at all the other stories in our daily roundup. The cabinet made a U-turn on the Prime Minister's instruction that rapid antigen test kits must meet the WHO standards. to pave the way for the signing of a deal to buy Chinese-made kits that haven't yet got the WHO approval. The 8.5 million antigen test kits to be purchased by the government pharmaceutical organization are from only for home use and not for the professional use. The Rural Doctor Society, which has been vocal in its opposition to the purchase of these Chinese-made test kits, said it will go ahead with its plan to test their effectiveness.
Meanwhile, the Corrections Department revealed that two more anti-government protest leaders, Panupong Jatnok, who's better known as Mai Rayong, and Chathai Gadam, tested positive for COVID-19 in prison. And this came after 4 detained protest leaders, including Penguin Parichiwarak, were reportedly infected with COVID-19 in prisons as well. And this is the second time that Mike has been infected with the virus while in prison, where he was first infected back in May for his detention over last September's protest.
And from infections to deaths, it has been reported that pregnant women who contracted COVID-19 has a 2.5 times higher death rate than other patients because of physical changes women undergo in the advanced pregnancy, such as the enlarging of the uterus and the increase of amniotic fluid volume, make it difficult for the lungs to expand fully or for pregnant women to breathe, resulting in respiratory failure and eventual death.
Exactly. And now let's move on to politics. The joint parliamentary session yesterday voted to bring back the popular two-ballot system for 400 constituency MPs and 100 partyless MPs. The single ballot system was used in the 2019 general election, which makes it practically impossible for any political party to form a single-party government. The move was meant to undermine the Pheu Thai party from winning more seats, but in turn it also helped the now defunct Future For Party, which was a new party popular among young urban people, win more seats than expected.
Actually, no surprise at all that this two-ballot system is voted back in Kunat, as most of the parties want this to benefit them in the next election as well.
Exactly.
And also, speaking of COVID infections in prisons, this seems to have been rebounded because we saw lower figures for the past couple of months, but the spread seems to be raging again among inmates.
Right, and now let's move on to some more positive stories. And it is also time for Homeaway, where we will be exploring the lives of expats living in Thailand. This week, we're still talking to Greg Lange, where he talked about how the COVID-19 pandemic affected his business, but it hasn't affected his desire to help other people.
Greg said in an interview after the first wave of COVID-19 that he was a member of the pro-government camp, as he thought they did a good job. When asked his view on the way the government is handling the latest wave, he said,
last year, they were, in my opinion, they got an A++. It was brilliant management. They were ranked number 1, number 2 for many, many months in the world as far as how they handled out of 180 countries. Now, the last time I looked, they're number 168, or maybe even worse than that now. But, you know, if this was your son or daughter and they were number 1 before in class and now there's 180 kids and they were number 168, you'd have a serious talk with them because something's wrong, right? There's been some mistakes that have been made. You just can't drop that way. I think the government themselves would say that, yes, there's been some mistakes made. We can't dwell on the past, but we definitely can change the future. They understand, they know that we need more vaccines. They didn't do it before, now they got to do it. They got to get more beds.
He suggested that they pull all the forces together and turn schools, empty factories, and hotels into isolation centers. A shortage of medical personnel is, however, also a big problem. And one more important thing is that people must get assessed or treated as soon as possible.
So, you know, the COVID if you look at the stats, 40% of them die within 6 days of after they've gotten the diagnosed with it, right? Because it goes straight to the lungs. The bottleneck is so big that when the person gets the actual bed, that's why the people are calling up and begging for oxygen, because it's gone into their lungs, they need to breathe. So I feel for the government. I understand they're in a bad, bad mess. They don't want this. Nobody wants this. But it is what it is. So how can we change it? But yeah, it's just, at the end of the day, it's a big mess. And let's not blame anybody. Let's just realize there is a situation that we need to address it. Because death is right there. COVID loves this situation.
Greg said that he's a firm believer in this country. He plans to stay here for life. And he said one of the best things about Thailand is the Thai people.
Right. I think that Thai people is what makes this country so special and so beautiful. There is that will to work together, community. When people are poor, you see the biggest smiles. They don't take it to heart. They don't begrudge their situation. They try to improve their life, and they're happy. And you don't see that in other parts of the world. Another thing that you'll see, and a lot of times people will be very surprised about this, if I dropped 1,000 baht out of my pocket, I would say 90 times out of 100, someone would say, "Mister, you dropped the money." If I did that almost anywhere else in the world, it would not be 90 out of 100, it might be 20 out of 100. So Thai people at heart are pretty honest. And I think that the Thais would be very surprised to even hear that someone would say that, but they are. You know, it's just the country has a lot going for it. There are things that we wish that were better, that for sure, it could be better. But overall, to get ahead in life and business, the opportunity is there. Thailand's been very good to me, so I want to give back as well.
We can see that he does not only devote his time and resources to helping others, but he also puts his heart and soul into making Thailand a better place.
Definitely, and most importantly, he does it out of gratitude as well, which is something we definitely need during times of crisis. And as I mentioned before, that a lot of expats have also been contributing a lot to their own communities as well.
Exactly.
And with that, we wrap up this edition of Thai PBS World. Be sure to catch us every weekday at 7:30 a.m. and follow our social media and website www.thaipbsworld.com for top stories, explainers, and analyses.
Thanks for watching. Stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ